Saturday the 19th of July today, and I'm here at Misson Carr on what is an incredibly muggy and humid evening. There's been some thundery rain go through the country today, but Nottinghamshire seems to have missed out on the thundery stuff. But we've had some rain, and Misson Carr's had more rain here than what we've had at home at Market Warsaw. But say very, very warm this evening, and the amazing thing again is that I've only seen one mosquito, and it found me. But normally, in other years, I would have been swamped with mosquitoes now. They've really suffered this year. Whether it's because of the dryness, I don't know, and that most of the water bodies here have all but dried up until very recently. So hopefully we won't get any mosquitoes at the light, but we'll get one or two moths. Should be a really good night because the conditions are absolutely perfect. Quite like my tea, and it is tea, nothing alcoholic when I'm driving. I've got a while to wait before darkness descends. I'm completely set up. I'm just waiting for the sky to become darker. Nice sky it is too. It's a shame there isn't any colour in it, but it is forecasted to clear in the early morning hours. And no rain is forecast, so we should be okay. But a beautiful night. It's just so peaceful here. There's not the slightest breath of wind at all. The grasses and the reeds at the entrance to Misson Carr here are as still as if they were frozen. It's a beautiful night. And a nice touch of colour to those clouds over in the eastern sky there. Always nice here, waiting for it to get dark. Just a case of waiting for it to become darker. It's only about 21:30, about 9:30, so we've got another half an hour to go. But the scary thing is that we're about 4 weeks already, a month past the shortest day. Not that I want to alarm anybody, of course, but it's a fact how quickly it all goes. And I'm sure the next 2, 3, 4 hours will go very quickly too. It always does here, usually because it's always busy with moths. And I'm just waiting for about 2200, maybe a little bit before, so I can start the trap up and we can get going. For a brief minute or two, then there was a hint of colour in the sky. But it is a beautiful evening, not a breath of wind at all. And it will probably go quite misty after today's rain. Today's rain looks as though it's done some good, because here in Nottinghamshire, at least what I saw of it, it was just nice steady rain for a while, no big torrential downpours. So let's hope the moths have dried off and we'll be getting ready to fly. And let's see what we catch in the next few hours. As you can hear, the corvids are just coming into roost from out of the darkness. Been running the light for a good quarter of an hour or so. Not a single moth until our first moth arrived a minute or two ago, and it's cloaked miner. There's a number of species of miners, and they're all very difficult to identify visually or via photographs. But cloaked miner's different, but it comes in various forms and guises. I'll put a couple of photos in of the various forms. So that's the first moth of the evening. What will we get? I don't know. It seems incredibly quiet. There's not even any insects at all. No sort of midges or flies. Maybe the rain has put them off, but it's a lovely warm temperature. Even now it's still 16 degrees centigrade. Surely even after today's rain, that won't put the moths off from flying this evening when we've got temperatures such as this. But you never know. It's a funny old world, this mothing world, at times. We've still got a good degree of lightness to the sky. Moth activity is certainly going to increase. As odd moths that are flying around now. And thankfully the mist that was developing and encroaching all around has now gone away again. You can see it in the distance, and it's really sort of thinned out as the atmosphere has settled. So hopefully we'll get a few moths. I didn't think it would be this quiet. Well, not really that much of interest on the sheet, but I'm not sure whether I've showed you one of these before, at least not in the flesh, so to speak. But this is a July high flyer. It's an extremely variable moth, but most of the forms do have this greenish coloration. There's another two species of high flyer as well, which do pose potential identification problems, but by far the commonest is July high flyer, at least locally to Nottinghamshire. And they're starting just to get a little bit warm now, but quite an attractive and fairly decent sized for a carpet. But all variations on the one that you're looking at, but a nice moth to get this evening. And at least I've showed you a moth. Well, it's very slow, slower than I was expecting, and there's not that many moths really for the amount of time that have been here. Moths are just sort of arriving in dribs and drabs, just ones and twos. But two moths of one species arrived a little while ago. One buzzed around and has made a run for it. The other one is safely in here. It is a species that I've tracked before, but I've not showed you on this channel, at least I don't remember. But it's twin-spotted wainscot, which in terms of wainscot is really quite small. And I can't remember having recorded this since 2013 at Bevercoats Pit Wood, an old sort of former colliery site. And so this one's really well marked, and it should be, because according to the books it shouldn't be out before August. Just shows you how advanced our insects are in breeding this year and their flight period. In fact, books overall, when they give a flight period, if you're looking at a book that's 20 or 30 years old, it's well out of date probably now in terms of any moth's flight period. So twin-spotted wainscot is a very nice one to add to this list. It's not a moth that I've ever recorded a great deal. Otherwise, it's very quiet. It's amazingly quiet. The trouble is, with the fine weather that we've had, it's been perfect conditions for moths to fly. They've flown, they've bred, and that's it. Job done for 2025 for many species already. Grass veneers are a fine example of that. Well, it's not often a sheet and a light at Misson Carr attracts so few moths. An hour of the session gone so far, so it has to improve surely. But Very, very few species, really. At least fewer than what I expected. We're just starting to get one or two moths of second broods flying over these last couple of weeks, and this is one such species. This is an iron prominent. Initially will appear as just a very dark moth. They appear darker in flight actually when they're buzzing around on the sheet than when they do at rest like this. And in the terms of markings, there's not that many markings, a few lighter markings and some rusty red markings too. But a nice moth to get, taking our species list, well, slowly towards 30. So iron prominent, first one of the second brood. Well, among a few more different species that have arrived, there's now 3 of these that have all of a sudden turned up. And this is a sallow kitten. There's a very small one just to the side of this one here. And there's also one on the sheet. But they've come in within the last few minutes. Amazing how a species can suddenly turn up at light within close proximity to each other. But a beautiful moth, lovely silky white background to the wings, various shades of grey, and also an assortment of black dots and little flecks. Beautiful moth, and of course it's a male as well. Just look at those feathered antennae. So sallow kitten, a nice one to add to tonight's list. Well, here's an absolute beauty. You know I love green moths, and this is probably as green a moth as you could get. It's an absolute stonker of a thing. It's a large emerald, of course, and the largest of the emeralds that we have here in the UK. It's an absolute beauty of a moth, and this one looks straight out of the tin, you could say. Beautifully coloured in that emerald to sage green, very few sort of subtle markings on the wings. It's just an absolute beauty, but one of those striking moths that surprises people because they tend to think that moths are dull brown and horrible. This rivals any colourful butterfly any day, or indeed night. Well, a few more moths on the sheet from when I last showed the sheet behind the light, but this isn't what I expected. Very, very quiet. It's certainly a very strange game at times, this moth trapping. You think you've got it sussed, even after over 20 years of trapping moths. You think you know what you're going to get. But time and time again, this hobby proves otherwise. The range of species, even after 2.5 hours of trapping, it's just gone midnight, is a lot less than I was expecting. But there again, the number of moths is considerably less than I was expecting. It's very, very strange. What's also strange is the lack of some species. I was expecting more in the way of yellow underwings. Not a one, not a sausage. And yet, last time I trapped at Red Hill, it looked as though the yellow underwings were going to increase, but no, I haven't had a one. That could all change within the next half hour. They could start coming in, but no large yellow underwing, no broad-bordered yellow underwing, no lesser broad-bordered yellow underwing. It's ever so strange moth trapping. It's amazing how things change over the years, and only a few years ago, if someone had suggested you'd have box tree moth on the Misson Carr species list, well, you'd have called them all the names under the sun. But here we are. This has just come in. We've just gone 1 o'clock in the morning and just came straight in on the sheet. It is a fabulous moth. It really is a beautiful looking moth, and the dark form is perhaps even more beautiful in its own way. But I'm surprised to see this here. God knows where the nearest box tree is, but obviously they do move a lot. Turned up at Loundwood last year, first records for the Ekrin area. And to be honest now, wherever there are mature box trees, this species is usually not far away. So an interesting species to add to the Misson Carr list. A lot of people won't like it, but we have to live with this moth now. It's surprising how things can change, how a trapping session can go from being one thing to another. I've still not got lots of moths. It's just been a steady run of moths. But 10-20 minutes ago, it went quite quiet and I considered packing up. It's about 1:30 now and I will be stopping till 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock will be the cut-off point. But then all of a sudden a few more moths started coming in, and they included 8 poplar hawk moths. It's just amazing how they've had sort of 2-3 hours of darkness and where they've been flying around, and then all of a sudden they all come in and visit the light. And also there's a nice collection of prominents here. I'll put photos in with these, but there's single pebble prominent. The iron prominent we saw earlier on is still knocking about. There are several lesser swallow prominents and pale prominents too, and about 3 or 4 coxcomb prominents. All have appeared steadily over the last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour. So will anything else interesting come in before 2 o'clock? I've no idea. It could well suddenly turn up, so we'll see what does turn up. Well, strange session or not, it's been a great session. I really enjoyed it, to be honest, and that's why come 2 o'clock I'm still here with a handful of poplar hawk moths. 9 in altogether, including these 5 here. I know that a lot of you love your hawk moths, and they are fabulous things, hawk moths. I didn't think that I'd be getting 9. A handful of poplars. What a really interesting session it has been. No hoped for rarity, just a couple of migrants in form of diamondback moth, and did get a single silver wire drop in. But a nice session. It's been a bit of an eye-opener, to be honest. Moths are clearly have had a really successful breeding season, and they finished early, some species, but they're also starting early, and second broods are starting early, to which these poplar hawk moths belong. And another one has just come in. That makes 10 altogether here at the light. So 2 o'clock, time to pack up.